Think of yourself as this energy field that is vibrating, resonating. It's magnetic. It's pulsating. It's alive. And it's got antennas. It's full of frequencies. And it's traveling through time and space. It's being shaped and formed over so many cycles, so many lifetimes. At first it is something very small and confined and dense. And it transforms into something evolved, spacious, and transparent. At first it is vibrating on very low frequencies. And it rises in frequency the more it evolves. So this energy field has multiple layers to it. Or multiple dimensions, you could say. And the very surface of it is the densest part. So it's matter on the surface, and that turns more into space towards the root. If the soul has not matured yet, it will exist at the very surface, meaning that its consciousness will be anchored in the physical dimension. So it will also strongly identify with that surface, with the outer structure, the body, and the identity that's tied to it. And that identity is derived from very superficial factors, like the physical appearance, social status, career, material possessions, demographic age, marital status, and so forth. So this we can call the small self, or the ego. And the ego sees itself as separate from everything else. It sees itself as an individual. But if the soul has already matured, it will exist much more at the root. It will embody its authentic self, which is its true nature, which is its spirit. So therefore it will see itself as being interconnected with everything, as being part of one. Because energy is not separated. It's like a giant network. Like there's an outer space, there's an inner space. The inner space extends beyond the body. So the physical realm is only creating a sense of separation. There's an invisible veil that is separating the surface layer from the deeper layers. And if the soul has not matured yet, it can't really break through that veil. And that is because there's a resistance there. And behind that resistance is fear. So in other words, the ego fears its own evolution. So it builds a structure around the deeper layers. And that structure has a self-perpetuating mechanism that makes sure that everything beneath the surface is kept there. But it doesn't work like that. Because anything that's suppressed comes through the cracks and creates problems. So it will give birth to even more fear, to tension, to anger, hatred, pain, disorder, disease, blockages, dependencies, and so forth. And these low frequencies have a very addictive nature to them. So the ego is trapped within the density in a low vibrational state. And this self-perpetuating mechanism keeps it constantly going in loops, operating by default. And it's doing that by keeping it bound to the rational realm. So it will exist very much in the mind, in the thoughts. Like it's all about the details, the narratives, the labels, the definitions. It always prioritizes the intellect over the intuition. And it derives all its information from external sources. And it sees science as the measure for truth. But if the soul has already matured a lot, it has already broken through that veil. It has dived deeply into the soul, and it has transmuted all the densities and the low frequencies along the way. It has become a much more pure, transient and fluid substance that moves freely and efficiently. It has awakened to a different dimension, the metaphysical realm, which is a world full of magic and meaning. Now the energy field is full of high frequencies, like light and love, bliss and joy, compassion, kindness, health, beauty, and so forth. And that, what is within, is reflected in the outer appearance too. It has increased in consciousness a lot, because now its existence is not limited to the surface anymore. It has expanded. Now it recognizes itself as an extension of space. Now it is rooted within the heart, in the feelings, in the present moment. It is very in tune with its intuition now. And it derives all its information from within, because from there it has access to all the truths in the universe. It knows that there's something greater than itself. And it always sees the bigger picture behind all the details. So obviously these two ways of existing are very different from each other. Like one is very limited, very narrow-minded, controlled, closed off, contracted, cut off from its own soul, from its own feelings, and from source consciousness. The other way of existing is very open, very free, unfathomable, vast, all-encompassing and ever-expanding. So you could say all consciousness is on a journey from fear to love, from darkness to enlightenment, from ego to spirit, from mind to heart, from lower self to higher self, from being asleep to an awakening, from suffering to salvation, from imprisonment to liberation, from distortion to truth, from confusion to clarity, from yang to yin. Well, this is the natural order of things. And it's happening on an individual level, but also on a collective level. Which I know doesn't look like that at the moment when you look at the state of the world. But this is more talking from a higher perspective. This is what's going to happen in the long run. Because with time there's change. So eventually we're all going to return to source. That's just a matter of time. Well, this is my first video, and there's a lot more to come. So if you resonate with this content, I would definitely recommend to subscribe, because only watching one video is not going to be enough to understand the bigger picture that I'm coming from. Another thing, I have a shop that has been completely in the shadow so far. It's full of self-created jewelry, like the stuff that I'm wearing. Yeah, check it out if you want. This could really support me. Anyway, until next time, I'm sending you much love.